I still remember the night before my most important job interview. My mother placed an old suit on a dining room chair and walked away without saying much. It was a suit that had once belonged to my older sister, and everyone in the family knew it had never been meant for me. My sister had worn that suit years earlier while applying to graduate programs. Back then, my parents treated every expense for her as an investment in a bright future. I often felt like I was living in her shadow, expected to make do with whatever was left behind. When I looked at the suit, I immediately knew it would not fit. The shoulders were too wide, the waist too loose, and the sleeves too long. I told my mother, but she dismissed my concerns without hesitation. She told me the suit covered my body and that should be enough. There was no encouragement, no reassurance, and no sign that she understood how important the interview was to me. Her words made me feel smaller than I already did. My father barely looked up from his phone. Instead of offering support, he reminded me that some people had nothing at all. According to him, I should simply be grateful for what I had been given. I waited for one of them to soften their words. Deep down, I hoped someone would acknowledge my feelings. Unfortunately, nobody did. Before leaving the room, my mother delivered one final comment. She calmly told me that I did not deserve new things every time life became difficult. The certainty in her voice hurt more than anger ever could. That night, I took the suit into my room and tried to fix it myself. Using safety pins from an old sewing kit, I adjusted the waist and folded the cuffs to make everything look presentable. Hours later, I finally managed to make the suit wearable. One of the pins scratched my side whenever I sat down, but I ignored the discomfort because I had no other choice. The next morning, I stood in front of the mirror and felt completely out of place. The suit looked awkward on me, and I felt like I was pretending to be someone else. When I arrived at the company headquarters, the massive glass building seemed intimidating. Every step toward the entrance made me more aware of how badly the suit fit. Inside the lobby, people glanced at me before quickly looking away. Nobody said anything cruel, but their silent observations made me feel exposed and embarrassed. I rode the elevator with other candidates who looked confident and polished. Their tailored suits fit perfectly, making my own appearance feel even worse by comparison. In the waiting room, I chose a seat near the corner. I kept my portfolio on my lap to hide the uneven fabric and the safety pins holding everything together. As I waited, I watched candidates come and go from their interviews. Some looked hopeful while others appeared defeated, and my anxiety continued to grow. Looking at my reflection in the window, I noticed how tired I seemed. At only 24 years old, I already felt worn down by years of being overlooked and underestimated. Everything changed when the company founder and CEO entered the room. She was a respected business leader whose success was known throughout the industry. The moment she walked in, everyone straightened in their seats. Her presence commanded attention, and the room instantly became quieter. As she looked around the room, her eyes stopped on me. Instead of quickly moving on, she carefully studied my appearance and seemed to notice details nobody else mentioned. She approached and asked a question that caught me completely off guard. She wanted to know if someone had made me wear the suit. The room became silent. Embarrassment rushed through me, and I struggled to find the right words. I tried to dismiss the issue, but she gently interrupted. She explained that she knew exactly what she was seeing. Her expression carried understanding rather than pity, making the moment feel surprisingly different. Without making a scene, she removed her own blazer and offered it to me. Although I initially refused, her kindness made it impossible to say no. When I put on the blazer, it fit almost perfectly. For the first time that day, I felt comfortable and confident enough to focus on myself instead of my clothes. The interview that followed was challenging. The questions tested my knowledge, judgment, and ability to think under pressure, but I remained focused and determined. At one point, the CEO asked what I did when people judged me before hearing me speak. The question felt deeply personal and forced me to reflect on my experiences. I answered that when people underestimate you, you learn to become valuable before you become visible. My response seemed to resonate with her more than I expected. After the interview ended, she quietly noticed one of the hidden safety pins beneath my clothing. Rather than exposing my embarrassment, she discreetly helped me maintain my dignity. Before I left, she told me something I would never forget. She looked directly at me and said that none of what had happened was my shame to carry. 3 days later, I received an offer for a full-time analyst position. My parents suddenly became proud and eager to celebrate my success, but their praise felt strangely hollow. A week after starting the job, I received a package at my desk. Inside was a beautifully tailored blazer and a short note that read, "Wear your own size now." As I held that gift, I realized the most important thing I had gained was not a career. It was the lesson that true leaders do not just recognize talent. They restore dignity to people who have spent their entire lives believing they did not deserve it.